All right, check one, check two. This is it. Welcome to the Cannabis Coffee Hour with your host, me, Rob Cantrell. Oh man, I got an exciting episode, a dope episode. I got a little bit of ganja, a little bit of coffee. I got a great friend, a great artist, an outstanding comedian, hilarious comedian and writer. Has written books, and he was there from the beginning of my stand-up days in San Francisco. He now lives in Brooklyn. We're good friends. It's an honor to have him on the show. Please give it up for Mr. Harmon Leon.
Hey, hey, is that too much of a letdown with such a great introduction as that you gave me?
Oh, it's perfect. A good old hey is good. Thanks for getting up early, Harmon. It's about 11 o'clock here, which is kind of early. It's an awkward time for Brooklyn time because people start getting their day moving and they're kind of in their coffee. But Harmon Leon, welcome to the program. You got your coffee. Harmon is just I don't even know where to begin because I've known you for a long time, but also I find you very fascinating and hilarious. And your work ethic is amazing. Harmon has written 8 books. His latest one is called Tribespotting, and they're also very infiltrating. Like, he goes into subcultures and writes about them in such great and hilarious ways. And he always seems to me, he always seems to be 3 or 4 years ahead of the curve in terms of popular culture. You're always
so what you're saying is like, what I'm doing today, they'll love 3 years from now. They'll love it in 2025.
Oh, especially the tribalism thing that you got, your latest book that you published a year ago, which kind of taps into like a lot of what's going on with, politics and whatnot. But before we get into the book, let's just talk coffee and herb a little bit. You're having some coffee. Harmon, tell me about your morning routine. Like, are you?
Oh man, I've been waiting for someone to ask me about my morning routine, and this is in all. Sure, I could go for the jokes. Here's a bunch of jokes of what I do first thing in the morning, but in all seriousness, morning routine: get up.
Ooh, like that.
Yeah, out of bed.
Out of bed.
I do some of the mindful meditation. I do 10 minutes of just let's meditate. Let's clear our head. Let's just concentrate on the breathing. This is what this time is all about. Plenty of YouTube channel, usually with an English accent. We'll walk you through that shit.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, when you get up, just real quick, do you open the windows? Like, do you open the shades right away and let natural light in? Or are you kind of more like, let's creep into the morning and like, let's ease into it, drink a little water?
Okay, man. So, and this gets into the morning routine thing. Like I have go-to YouTube guys.
Who's your go-to? I like.
Wait. But this is like phase 3 of my morning routine. If you want me to go logistically into this,
okay.
But one of the one of the YouTube go-to guys said you should start your day in bed, get out of bed going, yeah, let's get it on. Which, to extremes, that's a little bit much. But in my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, let's get on. We got a plate of things to get to. So boom, out of bed, windows open, boom, let's get that natural light going.
Are we letting fresh air in? I'm doing a little fresh air, or is it too cold?
Oh, it's too cold, man.
Too cold.
We're in Brooklyn. We're Brooklyn, February, though today is 60. What's up with that?
Yeah.
60.
Yesterday it was almost 14.
Yeah, no, 2 days ago it was 20. Now we've jumped 40 degrees. I don't know.
Yeah, Teslas are moving. We're getting there. We're getting there. Let's not go down that route, but I get you.
Yeah. So, okay. We wrap up the meditation. We jump into
what?
10 minutes with the YouTube hot yoga lady.
Oh yeah.
So get some movement going. Let's do some yoga. Let's do some yoga for 10 minutes. Let's get the body moving. Get that done. All right, bam. Wrap that up. That's wrapped up. Okay, 2 things crossed off on the morning routine list. Let's go into routine 3. We put on one of the YouTube go-to kind of positive Buddhist message guys. While that's going on, we journal.
Yes.
To get the gratitude journal going. I go to 5 things that I have gratitude for. Get the positive brain vibe going. Meanwhile, we have some kind of lately, we've gone into some Eckhart Tolle, maybe. You know,
I love me some Eckhart Tolle. He has the best page.
He's so low key.
Low key.
I've gone through a bunch of other YouTube kind of positive Buddhist message guys. In the end, okay. So there was one.
Eckhart Tolle's,
yeah. He's like a classic.
He's a classic. And then that guy.
He's not going to make you.
Away.
Which guy?
He was a Buddhist guy. The guy that used to kick it with Martin Luther King. He's another one, but he was Vietnamese. And he was very close to Martin Luther King. And, it was kind of like Dalai Lama, a couple of these guys. Eckhart Tolle is below that, kind of that mindful world, but he just passed. And he helped me out a lot. But I had one YouTube guy. All right. He's kind of high energy. He's in LA, bringing the good vibes. Then when the pandemic kicked in, kind of went anti-vaxxer on us. Oh, wow.
Started calling it the plandemic. It's oh man, the breathe in for 3, breathe out for 3 guy is a kind of a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
So I had to drop him.
Spirituality. You do find that.
Yeah. So that was like, what? So I let that slide like once with him. It's like, well, maybe plandemic is some higher concept, but no, he was
a little tricky. I'm pro-vaccine, but it's like it is putting shit in people's bodies, so I give it a little bit of a slide, just a slight, but not. I want everybody vaccinated up. I'm ready to get back out there. I want everybody to hit it. I hit it. I've been doing flu shots since the 80s. I don't give a fuck, man. I've been smoking resin since I was 17. Like, I care about a vaccine, but go ahead.
Yeah. So drop that guy. More Eckhart Tolle. There's another guy, and then I make the coffee.
Oh yeah. What are we doing?
It's playing. We go French roast. We go like a French press.
That's what I do.
I like the ritual of it. I like just I'm gonna be hands on with my coffee making.
It's raw. It's straight up. I love simple designs. And it works every time, and it gets it, and you get a good taste out of it. Now, do you get the real beans and then grind them, or are you getting just grounded coffee at the bodega?
Rob, we're not there yet.
Okay, sorry.
Baby steps.
I got you. I'm trying.
Baby steps into getting the grinder.
Oh yeah,
and then we got that. Boom, coffee ready, done. All right, read the news sites. There's like 6 news sites I read. Read them up, make some notes.
What's your top 3? Are we doing New York Times email? That's my one.
I go
paying for the subscriptions.
Oh, you pay for this New York Times subscription?
I'm thinking about it because they link you in stuff. The email's so good.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh yeah, this is some good info. And then they leave
you hanging. They leave you hanging.
They want that $12. Yeah.
Yeah. So I go CNN, just pretty basic. I go Daily Beast.
Twitter, that's a good cheap way to do it sometimes.
What's that? With
go to CNN via Twitter, or are you going CNN's just straight up web page?
We're going the web page. We scroll the page. We go Daily Beast. We go with the radical politics. We go Raw Story. Then we go. We bring it British. We go with the Guardian UK.
Little international, yes.
Yeah. And then I go Dig. I don't know why Dig, because Dig just pulls stories from all over and something like that. Because we're looking for possible story ideas for writing up future stories. It's like, oh, that group seems good to infiltrate. All right, now I know about them from reading them on Dig or Daily Beast or The Guardian or the CNN.
Are you fucking with BuzzFeed?
No, BuzzFeed is just, I don't know. I was watching this documentary last night. BuzzFeed used to have a white supremacist as their social media guy. I think his name is Baked Alaska. I was watching this Louis
Oh
Theroux
shit,
documentary.
I know about that, dude. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. So
Of,
Louis,
January 6th.
yeah.
Me being from Virginia and Charlottesville, like DC,
Mm,
like Charlottesville fucked me up. Like that was
yeah.
like our cool progressive college town.
Oh yeah, tell me about that. So that was like sort of like your Austin of close by, or
Yeah, Austin, a close by. I saw Dave Matthews before he broke out. I saw him at a house party play.
oh wow,
Yeah, I saw him at a house party, just ripping
yeah.
the house down. There's UVA is like one of the coolest colleges in the world. That's hard as hell to get into. It has one of the most beautiful lawns, the most beautiful campus. The town is so chill. It's around the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Yeah.
It's a hidden gem. That's like where one percenters go to retire now. You know, it's like it's just
like an Asheville, kind of North Carolina.
totally. It was the Asheville before Asheville. I would say Asheville. But Asheville's a little bit younger, but throughout the 80s and 90s, you know, it had cool music venues. It had like a literary scene, you know, because it was just like around a lot of good colleges. It just wasn't as rednecky, you know?
Yeah.
And I never saw, you know, dudes chanting, you know, anti-Jewish shit or, you know,
Yeah.
I've never saw that. And I grew up around like hardcore rednecks, like
Right.
N-word, like, you know,
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
just
yeah.
like back in the 80s, like, you know, steel mind type of shit. And I never witnessed. So when I saw that, that's what I was like, oh shit, you know, this tribalism shit is deep rooted right now.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think the tangent we went off was from BuzzFeed.
Yeah, BuzzFeed. Okay,
yeah.
F them. F the BuzzFeed.
Yeah. So
Okay,
anyway,
after you do your sorry, I'm trying to talk over.
Go ahead, man. Let's keep on the trajectory course.
After your three, after your three top, you get some information going.
Yeah,
because you are a writer, constantly writing, and I want to know about your writing process.
Sure.
But after you do your I don't want to break your thing. After you do your absorption of today's current events, then what?
Time to write the assignments. So lately just writing assignments, and also I'm lately producing documentaries. So we had a documentary in Tribeca Film Festival this year.
What was that about?
Okay, get this. So here's the world of Harmon is like comedy on stage, funny.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. You know, subjective. Okay, yeah, sure.
It's always been funny to me, Harmon.
Documentaries, usually nothing funny about them. Always very, very serious, if not depressing subject matter. But here's the tie. The skills you learn in stand-up, like such as just like timing and knowing that things you have to evoke an emotion at this point, like in stand-up, it's laughter. But like when you're doing the serious documentaries, okay, we want to play on their emotions at this point. That's all learned from the school of stand-up. Also, you know, just playing timing. Also, the idea of a punchline. Okay, so in the case of stand-up, punchline, yes, big laughs. In the case of like a serious documentary, okay, man, we want to play on their heartstrings here. That's how this like sequence of visuals needs to end. So we use terms like punchline, but when we punchline is like we want a visceral or just some sort of response here at the end of this like sort of montage. So it's like
you're trying to tap into real emotion. I think with documentary and that type of art, you're really trying to tap into human because we're so computerized now and everybody has so many different masks on, is that I think the power of the documentary and like hardcore art, like you're talking about, like Harmon went into like abortion clinics. He went into like brainwash Christian camps in the South. This is all during the 90s and written books about it. He's been on Howard Stern. He actually did a show with OJ that we'll talk about. That has a fascinating career. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. Sorry, where were we, Harmon? I smoked a little bit of herb just then.
No, it's sorry, man. We're just talking some documentaries.
Yeah, documentary, like the punchline. You're saying, okay, so what was your documentary about?
The latest one that was at Tribeca Film Festival is about, so I have a documentary filmmaking partner. He's based in Berlin. He worked with this guy who grew up in East Germany. His dad left him when he was little. They reunite later in life. He learns that his dad was not only a member of Stasi, which is the secret police of East Germany, but also a double agent who got a new identity, who defected to the West and got a new identity from the CIA, who brought him to America. And then he ended up on Wall Street as a fat cat, making millions, reunited with his son later in life. But after they reunited, here's the downer ending. He killed himself, or did he?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the shit we're making on the documentary film.
That is fascinating, though, Harmon. That is especially that
true story,
double agent shit in the CIA. Like, wow, man, that's a life. And suicide is always there, and it's scary. And life is light and dark. So in documentaries, that's how you're supposed to show it. So, but I don't want to give people the downer. That sounds, what's the name of this film? Is it going to be on streaming service?
Yeah. So we did it as a short, then we got funding now to do it as a feature. So we got the guy who did, I don't know, do you see that Doc Ellis documentary called No No? Doc? Yeah. So he's our executive producer. So
but that was an animation type of thing. But it blew up.
Well, it had some animation, but just to let listeners, viewers know, like Doc Ellis, Pittsburgh Pirate pitcher, dropped some acid.
Yes.
And what did he do, Rob? Pitched a no-hitter.
Pitched a no-hitter in a professional league game after not knowing he was going to play. And hung out at his girlfriend's, and they were just listening to funk music, smoking weed, and dropping acid.
Of the 70s.
And of the 70s, and they were like, dude, you have a game today, and dude, you are pitching. And he goes out there, and I'm not a sports guy, but it's one of the dopest pieces of animation, because they use the animation from, I guess, this historic reel. This guy had Doc tell the story, and Doc is being as real as he was talking to his buddy in a coffee shop, and tells his story about how much acid and how powerful the acid was. Like, it was some powerful, like, not like I'm kind of tripping. He was like super tripping, but he had to just focus on this one job, and it became super laser.
Yeah, but again, we're seeing that in Silicon Valley with the microdosing. We're microdosing, like, okay, gotta drop some code here. Gonna do a little microdosing, and just people are getting the job done. So I think there's like a bit of that with Doc Ellis.
Yeah. I mean, psychedelics in terms of the Grateful Dead, and even their equipment that they use, and the people they were hanging out with, and how it just opens your mind and you use it to work. Yeah, people are doing that with microdosing. What I would say in the last 10 years, a lot of comedy writers, I think, is why I never jump. People were popping Adderall the last 10 years like crazy. Like, that's how they
have you ever done Adderall?
I've never done Adderall. I did Ritalin back in the day in high school. My friend had a prescription to Ritalin, and that's right. I probably should have been on Ritalin, but my mom never fucked with any of that shit. And but my roommate did. And to get through studying one time, we all took Ritalin and studied. And it worked. But I think, Adderall is like the next step after Ritalin. It's just, that was like the 2000s that kind of came out.
Yeah. Again, never done it, but there's some Silicon Valley people making the next Facebook on it.
I know. I think Donald Trump ran his whole campaign on like a pocket full of Adderall,
Oh my God. It was just like so obvious. Yeah.
And I have seen it with some big wigs. Like, I have seen it like, like really rich, like, but high powerful, like whether it's like Wall Street or lawyers, like they'll be jawing a little bit. Like, I'm just like, oh, I think these guys are like popping Adderall and with all this bullshit all day.
Yeah, I think it's like the old Elvis Presley adage. It's like, it's not a drug if my doctor prescribes it.
I keep it moving. I'm making billions of dollars, and I have a boat out in Southampton right now.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of that, you know who I interviewed recently? Jordan Belfort, the guy who wrote Wolf of Wall Street.
Yes. What did you think of that film?
So I rewatched it to interview him.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all,
or is it a piece of shit? I can't tell.
From a film perspective, little long. You could chop 45 minutes off that film.
But the shots are really good. You're like,
oh, it's a classic, but you could just chop 45 minutes off of it, make it tight, but no one's gonna say no to Martin Scorsese. What did you think of it?
Yeah, I haven't watched it all the way through because it's so decadent that it bums me out about humanity sometimes. Like there was no like, and I'm seeing that even Don't Look Up, like there's no like, that some people are kind of good. It's like they're bad, but why are you guys celebrating this dude? Like it just seems like he's a kind of a shitty dude, but they're kind of making him look like a Motley Crue. Like it almost has this like Motley Crue documentary rock star feel to it, where they're
yeah.
I don't think they were that cool, first of all. I definitely don't think
of course they're not as cool as the Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah. Him popping and locking. I'm like, no, these are some Long Island Goomba, just like some goons, that went in.
We live in New York, man, and we've spent some time maybe in the meat packing district. We've seen these guys around.
They ain't popping and locking like that. They ain't moving like that. But I did think the film was great and the acting was amazing. I thought, who's that dude? Matthew
McConaughey.
I thought that scene was really good. Him talking to.
Yeah, I think he improvised like that whole kind of like chest
thing and beating off. Like I thought that was like how it was shot.
Yeah,
sound, the emotion. Like Scorsese's dope, as well as that 9-hour Netflix thing that he did with De Niro that everybody got on too. It's still, somatic, like visually, it's stunning and looks awesome. And I would say, like he shot like Wolf of Wall Street. There's some great Brooklyn brownstone shots with the girl when he goes back to her apartment. Like I just rewatched some of that and I was like, oh my God, this is shot amazing,
Yeah, two points on that. First, I just love going 1970s New York films.
Yeah,
I love that. And it's like, okay, they're showing like Once Upon a Time in America. It's like takes place in Williamsburg, and it's like, oh shit, man, I know that corner.
I know that street.
It looks so foreign, but yet so same, because it's like 70s, this city was bankrupt and gritty. And so always love that. But second, I think what you said about Wolf of Wall Street is like, there's kind of like a bro sector that idolizes that.
Yeah. That's
so like what you said about the Motley Crue behind the music. It's like, I want to be like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And if you look at it, like I was like going to interview him and going, I really hate this guy. If you think about it, if that guy really did that shit, I hate him.
Yeah. It's just that cold callousness that comes with money and business. And, and if you don't have a soul or you don't have a conscience, you could really go in there and figure it out. And, we see it over and over. But how was the interview? He seems like, I've seen interviews of him. He seems somewhat charming. Like he was in the Big House with Tommy Chong.
Yeah. So that was I asked him about that. So when he went to prison, okay. So my question to him is, what did you think when you showed up to prison and you saw that your cellmate was the star of Up in Smoke? Because so just let viewer listeners know that Jordan Belver showed up in prison and his cellmate was Tommy Chong, who was in there for what Rob, like bongs.
Dude, I was thinking about that. People are like celebrating George Bush too, like the second one, like, oh, he's not as bad as Trump. But then I was thinking about, I was like, oh my God, he invaded a country.
No, he had an unjust war.
Yeah, and then he put Tommy Chong in jail for selling bongs, like not even selling weed, like shipping, graphic, plastic bongs to college kids that every little town has a head shop that sells these things. Like, it's like, oh, you guys had your head up your ass.
Yeah. So when they were cellmates at night, he would tell Tommy Chong these stories and just have Tommy Chong rolling. Tommy Chong was like, "Man, you got to write that down,"
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's what made him. Otherwise, if he would have had, different roommate, cellmate,
He might not have written the script. He might not have written
yeah.
the book. Like, do you think he's financially well off right now, Harmon? Is he doing all?
Well, okay, so I interviewed him because he was going to do an NFT drop,
Oh,
and it got pulled because the photographer that so they were recreating these scenes from Wolf of Wall Street. So they're recreating like the yacht scene and going to sell it like as NFTs. But the photographer has this history. He always works with wolves, so it's like there'd be like real wolves in the photo. So Wolf of Wall Street, there's wolves,
yeah.
but the
NFT.
the photographer David Yarrow has this history of kind of abusing the wolves that he uses in his photo shoots.
Ooh.
So a lot of backlash on the Twitter sphere, and they pulled the project. So controversy follows him.
He was the Wolf King. He's not the Tiger King. He was the Wolf King.
Yeah, but now he's like kind of like this Tom Cruise of Magnolia, like self-help speaker, which you can see.
Oh, the Wolf of Wall Street guy.
Jordan Belfort.
Jordan Belfort. Yeah, I could see that. Like, he can't say he's giving out financial advice, so he's kind of just giving out stories and
like redemption stories. You too can rebound from adversity.
It is, I mean, to go through all that and to go through prison, like, and then to come out and have a movie and a book is pretty amazing American story. But as a person, you're kind of sus. As the kids say, kind of sus, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's like I infiltrate like white supremacist groups and shit like that. And I always like hearing a good story, even if it's like has nothing to do with my ethics or what I believe,
Yeah, Jordan Belfort is like the king of the TGIF Friday lunch, where paid for on the corporate bill, and you're just eating potato skins and drinking at noon, and he's just telling stories. Yeah, that's all salesmen. That's pretty much all salesmen do.
Yeah. So he can talk. He had some good stories. I was listening to him. Yeah. So yeah.
Wow. You infiltrate Harmon. You one of my favorite. If this link, one of the funniest things. Well, you took a lie detector test on a television show,
and the television show is called Lie Detector.
It was called Lie Detector. So Harmon would go down. He was, when I first met Harmon, he was doing one-man shows at the Marsh in the Mission District of San Francisco. This is 1999, and he was touring his one-man show there. But his credits were he wrote for Spin Magazine, and he toured internationally. He wrote for all these other like online at the time, like the coolest, hippest shit. But he would go down to LA and audition for these weird TV shows, and this is one of them. Over, just tell the story about lie detector test.
Yeah, so this goes in the genre. There was like this era where all I would do is infiltrate reality TV shows because they were always desperate for people to get on, and they would always have these audition notices on Craigslist, and I'd always answer them. So this one was, I think it was a show, I think it was like on PAX TV, which is no more. That was the network. And it just said, have you been in prison and are now on parole? If so, lie detector wants you to tell your story to prove that you were wronged in a situation where you're really telling the truth. So I like answered it in a millisecond. Yes, I've been in prison. I'm on parole. I want to be on your show, Lie Detector, and tell my story to a lie detector to prove that I was telling the truth. And this is me typing.
This is a super lie, everybody. He's never been to prison.
Yeah.
He's literally just a journalist, comedian, touring the world, making it happen.
Yeah. So they said, oh, great. We want you on the show. One thing, can you send your police, arrest report? So that like posed like a problem for like 2 seconds. So I went on, what was that website where it had everyone's famous people's like arrests? mugshots and stuff.
Yeah, it was just like everybody's arrested. Yeah, Elvis,
Yeah.
Sinatra's, Hendrix, anybody.
Yeah. So I went on that site and I downloaded Courtney Love's arrest report for assault with a flashlight and mixed it with David Crosby's arrest report for like drugs and weapons. And I combined them in Photoshop and sent it off thinking, oh, no, not going to hear from the TV show Lie Detector after this. And then, 10 minutes later, they said, great. We want to fly to LA, give you an envelope of money when you get off the plane and book you on the show Lie Detector to tell your story.
Oh my God. Yes, everybody, because these are these little TV shows. It's just some PA that's working for little, no money, and they got to book a guest, and they don't have a huge budget, but they can spring for a plane ticket, and they can give you an envelope of cash.
Yeah.
And
put you up at the Holiday Inn in Santa Monica.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. A flight from San Francisco, you went down there and you had a fake name and everything. Like Harmon was a completely different. Is this video online? Because I do want people to watch.
Yeah. So I think if you go to my YouTube channel, you can find it. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, but keep going. Tell the story.
Oh, yeah. So again, it's just like, I think my fake story was I was arrested for drugs and then I was out on bail. And then I was at a party and I inhaled secondhand smoke and I flunked like my drug report with my parole officer. But I want to prove that I wasn't smoking weed. So then I dressed the part of, a guy on parole.
And the TV host is kind of like this interview kind of investigator, but with a suit, but it's like,
it was like, the guy who gave the lie detector was the guy who gave the lie detector to JonBenet Ramsey's parents. So Dr. Ed Gelb was his name. Yeah. And then they had this woman who was kind of like really caring, kind of like an Oprah type who would interview me. And then we do the lie detector and then the big reveal is, did you pass the lie detector test? And then I passed.
Yeah, you completely lied the whole thing, and you completely passed the test, and they show it on TV like, oh, he's completely innocent.
Yeah,
and you're like, I'm not even this person.
Yeah. I completely proved I was telling the truth, other than the fact that I completely lied about everything.
I love that. That is one of my favorite videos of all time, Harmon. But since this is the Cannabis Coffee Hour, I'm enjoying a little bit of cannabis, got a little bit of CBD here, a little bit of herb. But you did work on a weed farm. I know you're not the biggest weed head. But we were in a band together at one time.
We did. That was great, man.
Yeah, we had
the jazz band mega band of Love and Power.
Yeah, the jazz band mega band of Power, Love, and Cheap Thrills with our dear friend Dan Crawford. Dan Crawford, R.I.P., who played saxophone. But we were in a band together. We would smoke pot. We would do all these comedy skits. But then, you got a little bit older and you stopped smoking pot as much. But then you went off to this pot farm and wrote an article about like trimming weed. And you said it was a very random, odd situation. But where was it actually?
It was up in Sonoma County, kind of what as they call the Emerald Triangle.
Yeah, you went to the place. That's what people. I mean, you lived in San Francisco for so long.
That's the Willy Wonka factory of weed.
That is, you went to the source of they've been growing weed up there since the 50s.
Yeah, it's crazy. Just an interesting side note is, all the police in that area, and this was, like over 10 years ago, all the police know these weed farms go on, but there's no way they're going to bust them because first the logging industry died. So people are now growing weed, but the whole economy of that area would completely collapse if the police busted those weed farms. It's not legal in California, but this was like before.
This is before. When I moved to San Francisco, it wasn't legal. It was 99, but weed in California, there was always a culture in California that was very tolerant of weed.
Yeah.
Just
they always had sort of medical marijuana was always sort of, that was there like my whole time living in San Francisco, but
yeah,
not.
then medical marijuana kind of creeped out of the the gay and AIDS movement, like kind of like birthed like people going, hey, we got to get real with this shit. And then from that, now it's gotten, but it's not federal yet, but it's almost there. But California has been wide open forever. But that area, specifically that area, that is fascinating about the logging industry. If you go up to Northern California, like it is, redwoods, like it is. I talk about Virginia Blue Ridge Mountains. This is very hardcore mountain people. Like these are towns of like 1,000, maybe 500, just little old podunk towns with farming and like logging communities and hunting and all of that. But then underneath that, you got this like weed, dynasty.
Yeah. So just a very interesting dynamic up there. So, and again, I think that story's dated.
How long
now
did
because
you do it?
I just went a couple of days. And
Just
again, this was
something you could do in San Francisco if you they said trimming season. You can go up there, and how much are you making an hour? Like how much you make?
It's not hour, it's by the bag.
It's by the bag. Wow.
Yeah. So there were just like these Zen masters that would be just like me, I would just be like one. But there's these people, I mean, they just do it every year, and they were just like Yoda.
And their hands are made for it. Like they're all like, because if you do trim a lot of bud, like it all gets on your hands and your gloves. It's like this thick resin. And then you got to pick it just gently enough that there is kind of a dance to it all. It's not high level thinking, but it's definitely a skill set, like weaving cotton or something like that.
Yeah. So, that was part of a book I did called The American Dream. So the point was, I wanted to, in that book, every chapter, I go live someone's perception of what their version of the American dream would be by walking in their shoes. So that chapter was just for those people just living the weed working lifestyle was their American dream. Because basically they get to trim weed all day. They get money for that. And they get to smoke weed all day while working. So it's like they're living their American dream.
It is American dream. I've never done it, but I always think I could have done it a couple years during those beginning years of stand-up.
Yeah, didn't you spend any time up Sonoma County or anything like that?
Yeah, I did with the marijuana logs. That was one of the tours I got to do was with the marijuana logs. When Arj went to Australia, I stepped in. And then it was me, Tony, and Dan Gabriel. We would do shows here and there. It wasn't as strong, but we sold out some shows. But we did one tour of the Golden Triangle. And it was the first time that I went up there. I did Chico State back in the day, which is a big college up there that was awesome. But this time we went to all those weed towns, little small theaters, and, all growing communities. And it was, some of the best. It was one of my favorite trips I've ever done. And we took Dan's dad's truck, and but it was only like we had to borrow somebody's car to do this little like mini theater tour. But it was only like we only had the passenger seat. We didn't have. It wasn't an SUV. It was like a real truck with a flatbed. So I was like in that little back. Kind of like kid space, like for a dog or a small child. And how funny Tony
on tour.
And then I'm just smoking hella pot with Tony Kameen and listening to Dan Gabriel talking comedy. But yeah, we did all those, and those towns are just so dope and beautiful. And I still remember tasting some of the best weed up there. And we got like literally we did Humboldt. Like there's a community center. There's like we did like the big like community center like of Humboldt.
I bet they went nuts.
It was packed and it was all the growers. I remember this weird hippie came down and he was riding a Segway and he had dreadlocks and no shirt on. He just showed up to the show.
Yeah.
I mean, people don't understand, like this is a whole other level of hippie-dom that you don't even know out. Like these dudes.
This is the ground zero.
This is ground zero. These guys are part.
This is where hippies from other smaller hippie communities come to get their advanced graduate hippie degree.
Yeah. These guys sleep in dream catchers, man. Like, they have all the dead tapes. And Yeah, it was just, I remember leaving that show and our trunk was full of like 7 ounces of weed. Like,
Did you just get people just giving you like,
giving us,
here?
and then that venue, and specifically, I don't think it was a government. I mean, I think they rented the venue out, but that guy was like a grower. And I remember he gave us cash, and then it wasn't a part of the deal. He gave us each an ounce. Like he was like, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Boom. And we were like, and I was flying back to New York. And this is back at the time I gave all that herb away. And like, I used to do those tours. And then after getting popped in New York City, like
we know that story.
Yeah, we know that story.
Yeah.
Which
by the way is so insane in 2020. That's Tommy Chong in prison insane.
Yeah. I went Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah. But a lot of people did. Yeah. It's just, the world is changing, and with the pandemic, I'm just so happy to see you and that you're alive. Yeah. And during the pandemic, we're coming out of this shit, but you were going down to Costa Rica. You've been surfing. I mean, we're at 45 minutes now, Harmon. So
we always go a little over to talk surfing, man.
Yeah. So tell me about what you've been, the last few years you have been, because you're not married, you don't have kids, and that's an awesome thing. And you've just been bucking, and then you've been doing it the right way. You've been just bucking down to Costa Rica and surfing, and you weren't a big surfer in San Francisco. Like, it's just been over the last few years.
Yeah. So it started with the pandemic in like December of 2 years ago, I guess now, 2020, where are we at? Yeah. When everything was going to shut down again in New York, and it's going to be winter in New York. So everything that was slowly opening up is, all right, we're going to bring it all back. So like, I looked online, like what countries will take people from the US, and it was like Albania. No, heard some good things, but no.
From there, but I don't.
Yeah. Barbados, maybe. Costa Rica. Oh yeah. And then it went on. It's like, and so I've been like the last 2 years. I just got back.
Where do you fly into?
San Juan, Costa Rica. And it's just like, it's crazy cheap.
This is what I hear.
My ticket, no, just but my ticket to fly there, I bought a one-way, $65. That's an Uber ride from JFK.
Holy shit.
And instead of going from JFK to where you live in Brooklyn, you're in Costa Rica.
Which is tell me, beautiful beaches, right? And it has,
oh my God, best surfing in the world. Best surfing in the world. I lived up in the jungle, up in the hills, and maybe about a mile bike ride, I'm at the surf beach. So I would I would get up around 7 because you wake up because it's sunny and so nice.
Beautiful. Yeah, that air.
Yeah. So I worked till about 3:30, then go down and spend the last 2 hours a day surfing.
Oh my God.
And then go have some
board on the beach afterwards. Or did you rent a board from your house, or where were the boards? Because
the boards are right at the beach. Yeah.
Yeah. You rent it from the beach guys. There's usually somebody there
who I became friends with, and just again, we're talking American dream. They just hang around.
Yeah.
They rent the surfboards. They smoke weed all day.
They sell you.
They surf. And
if there's any girls around, any tourist girls that want to go out, they'll be their boyfriend for the week or month that everybody's there.
Yeah, and these guys are funny, and also just funny. It was like when comedy shows stopped, I just noticed this like connection between the surf guys and comedians. It's just like, okay, really passionate about what they do, also funny and also slightly dysfunctional.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, these are just like the comedians. So I'll just attach on to these guys and hang with them.
They only feel natural when they're out there,
Yeah, they're just like, get them in social situations, maybe in real life, a little awkward when you're just surfing.
If you paddle out into a good 3 foot, there, that's, glassy 3 foot waves. And that's were you on a beach break or was it a coral break?
Oh my God. Okay. I was on a beach break where
that's
it's
the best.
because just catching the foam is, often
fun enough.
Good enough.
And you got you're getting like a 9 foot round tip, like to stand up on with a nice fat rail for the board. I'm talking.
No, I go like a 7.6. So that's my board size.
Are you going pointy or are you going round on the top?
Round. Yeah.
A little bit of round.
So I found that's my sweet spot.
Yeah. There is a sweet spot with those boards.
Then I went to Panama afterwards, which is right on the coast of where, or on the border where it was. So it's like maybe 3 hours to this place, Boca del Toro.
Wow.
And I went surfing there first got a smaller board because that's all they had.
Yep, that's what happened.
Again, it was a beach where I was just completely out of my element. Where like if you're snowboarding, this was like the double black diamond, where first of all, these waves are breaking close to the shore.
Which can break your neck. Yeah.
And then second, like all these world-class surfers were like just all traversing over my head. So like almost like the first wave, bam, just went flying. And then you're, instead of just like soft sandy, you're smashed into a coral reef. And just, yeah, dude, bloody leg. It just, my thigh was like, oh yeah. And
I always stayed away from any coral surfing because I knew.
No, it was like I had one day left in Panama, and I go, "Am I going to leave Panama and not surf Panama?"
And it's right there, and it looks cool. Yeah,
and it's like gotta surf, even if I'm going for a couple hours. Yeah,
it does make you feel young.
Smashed into the coral reef.
Oh,
and then the waves just keep smashing into the coral reef.
Oh,
yeah. So it just ended with just bloody leg. And
bloody leg
and a lesson learned.
Get infected in the salt, and it gets that. I've done all this. I backpacked Southeast Asia, and I lived in Bali for a month. And
nice, man. Yeah.
I surfed every day in Kuta Beach, and it was
nice.
A break, easy, the same situation, and it was one of some of the best times of my life.
Nice.
So I'm so envious of surfers, and now as I get older, I want to long to go do it again.
Rockaway Beach.
Yeah, Rockaway Beach. I have been going out there. You can do it. Yeah, you were out.
Yeah. I try to go as much as I can. I mean, it's still from Williamsburg. If you take the ferry, it's still like a 3-hour journey to get out there.
They got breaks. Yeah,
you gotta time the ferries, but ferry ride's pretty pleasant than a subway. But it can take about 3 hours if you don't time your ferries right.
Yeah,
to get out there. But it's good to have like it. We gotta. I mean, again, after I got back from Costa Rica, I just realized New York. Everyone thinks urban, New York. Whoa, out of my way! I'm walking here. It's like, no, dude, we live in a beach town.
Yeah, it's an island.
I know.
It was originally flip-flop island people.
Yeah. It's just like, no, man, New York's a beach town, man.
It's a beach, and then you go upstate to all those hippie towns up there. We broke out and went up to Woodstock and stayed at a hotel there, and I loved it. I love all those little hippie towns. Like a lot of artists are going up there, and pot's getting legal. Like this area is, there's a lot of nature if you want to go get it. But you do have to like get out of New York. The city.
Yeah, but it's easy just to get. And again, that's I think just the lesson learned from the Costa Rica thing is just you got to get out of your bubble. It's like,
yeah.
I was trapped not trapped, just always thinking like, gotta do a lot of shows. What if I took a month off, I'd be missing a month of shows. It's like, no, man, you don't miss anything. And you can just easily jump back in one month off. And you jump in different because like your ways of looking at things are different. The ways your just whole perspective is just different. And you're just going to write better shit because of that. Not like, oh, I go to Costa Rica and I come back funnier because I wrote, 10 minutes on bananas. No, it's just like now I just see, I see bananas different,
There's this,
and everything else.
Philosopher Lao Tzu does the way which I really got into. But Lao Tzu, one of his things was dope that I grabbed onto with stand up. It's like if you sharpen a knife too much, it gets dull. If you just keep, and I think that's with any art, if you do it so much and you're like, oh, I'm such a super expert, you think you're an expert, but really you're detaching yourself and it's not as live and it doesn't feel good and it's dull. It's like, the 80s stand up or somebody that does the road too much. Like, yeah, they're really good in killing, but it's like this, robotic bullshit.
Yeah, and I'll top your Lao Tzu the way with one John Coltrane or the jazz guys, where you also have to have room to fail. And and the whole artist thing is just give yourself room to fail. Because if you fail, you'll have happy accidents within those failures that will blossom into, something stronger, different. got to take those chances.
Got to take those chances, and don't get down on yourself when you fall down, because one thing I've learned in my 20 years of stand-up, I don't learn as much as when I'm successful. I learn more from the bad sets.
Yeah.
If I'm always killing,
totally.
my ego gets so big, and then I get into a situation where my ego can't handle it, and it just collapses on you. But if you really step into looking at things without your ego and, just working through, I failed. Okay.
Yeah.
It makes you more creative digging yourself out of the hole, or it makes you more creative talking yourself back into the game. It makes you more creative, figuring out. That's what I think about the pandemic. Like a little bit is like, I think we have to go through this in order to do this looking inward thing. We have to get creative to solve these complex, serious problems where society has fell down on its face.
Yeah. And also just, a lot of people during the pandemic just excelled in different ways of presenting comedy. We all have the friends that they kind of just found their niche via the Zoom live streaming and presenting comedy in a different way,
Podcasting. Yeah. And I think live streaming is the next I'm hearing this big money coming from live streaming. I think the concert industry is going to be leaning into that. Like the live stream is where it's at. Do you live stream any shit, or have you figured out that game?
I was doing that all through the pandemic. Yeah. But I'm on my friend Zilla's live stream tonight. So yeah.
Word. You do Twitch or do you do YouTube?
Oh my God. I used to do everything via Twitch, but also, again, it's like the whole setup restream. You could stream it to several things. You could stream it to Facebook or social media, and also to Twitch. So I was well into that. I was well into, I really like tech. So I was well into just the whole back end of.
It's all happening.
Creative problem
you
solving.
Just dropped a jewel on me. What was that? What was that stream? What was that website that you could stream everywhere? You just said.
Yeah, it's called Restream. Yeah.
Stuff like that. Like you pick that stuff up. I'm looking at all these new beat machines that I'm really into. Roland, but they go right into your computer, and you can play it during your podcast. The technology, even us being able to Zoom and not catch any weird COVID from each other or knock this out.
Or one of us take a subway somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, I have, and I'm performing a little bit now. Like I'm starting to eat. I shut it down when Omicron started popping back up.
You shut down live shows, or
shut down, stop. I stopped, and I had stuff booked. And right at Christmas, I was like, okay, I'm not doing anything. Just last week, I had a fun set. I did a show on Valentine's. With a bluegrass band, and then I did a club last night, and then I need to plug this, everybody, but Harmon, please come Littlefield this Sunday. I'm doing a show. It's Joe Pera, Matt Koff, and Dina Hesham. Everybody that's listening, go check out and try to buy tickets at Littlefield. That's this Sunday. Harmon, where can they see your books? Let's just do some plugs and I'll get you out of here, buddy.
Just go to the Amazon or go to my website, harmonleon.com, and you'll follow the book vertical on it.
Dude, I could talk to you forever. You have a million stories. We didn't even get into your reality show with OJ, but
dude, that's a whole nother episode.
That's a whole other episode. And you can check out the interview. He does an interview about it with Howard Stern. I just want everybody to know Harmon Leon's a great writer, artist, comedian, and a good friend. Has always been there. I've known you since the first days of San Francisco. And cheers to you. Coffee and weed. I appreciate it, Harmon.
Thanks, buddy. Great talking to you as always.
Yeah, always. Thank you, Harmon. Peace and love, everybody.
Peace and love.
We are out.